We have our Nigerian counterparts. They have logged in, and we're going to let them present today.
Thank you very much. My name is Wofai Samuel. I am the Acting Director General of the Nigerian-American Chamber of Commerce. I'm sorry I joined in pretty late. I had a few technical issues with the previous link that was sent Zoom, and much later, I realized another link was sent via Teams. We just concluded our annual general meeting today. I did send in my presentation via email. It's a very brief presentation, basically about the chamber and what it does for minority businesses across Nigeria and the US. So I'd like for my screen to be shared while I take my presentation. Thank you.
Just a moment.
Okay. Thank you. But in the meantime, I could just go on. So the Nigerian-American Chamber of Commerce was established in 1960. We're way more than 50 years old. We were established as an organization and association that promotes bilateral trade, business, commerce relationships between the United States and Nigeria. Now, Nigeria happens to be the largest population across the continent of Africa, on the continent of Africa, and the United States happens to be the largest GDP. And I would always say that the relationship between the US globally and Nigeria on the continent of Africa is not one that should be taken for granted. It's one that should be taken very seriously. And what do we do at the chamber? Like I mentioned, we facilitate trade, business, and commerce relationships between people in the US who want to expand their businesses to Nigeria and people in Nigeria who want to expand their businesses to US. I do not know if my screen is being shared now, but I'll move on to the services that we provide at the chamber. Okay, thank you very much.
So Wolfie, can you hold for a second, Wolfie?
We may be able to have you share. So in the top right corner of your screen, do you see a share button with the up arrow?
Yes, I do see it, but it's not allowing me share this particular document. I have everything at the top of my head, so it's fine. I just wanted to be sure that everyone who is attending is able to see, the few snippets I've been able to put together. So with respect to the services that we offer at the chamber, our services cut across trade services, advocacy, and networking. When I talk about networking, what do I mean? Networking is organizing events for the American audience in Nigeria, the expatriates, the American companies. We have the likes of Chevron, to name a few. They come to attend this event, interact with other similar and like-minded Nigerian organizations. That's in terms of networking. That's strictly about events. And so we have trade services. When it comes to trade services, we're talking about trainings. We organize lots of trainings for Nigerian organizations, US startup businesses, a lot of them who are seeking to expand in Nigeria. What are the requirements? What are the deliverables? What are the expectations from Nigerians who would like to have as clientele, as customers? We have all of those trainings put together. Now, away from those trainings, still speaking to business services, we also conduct lots of researches for American companies that are looking to come to Nigeria. They're trying to get market information, amongst other information. We're able to put all of that together, white papers to name a few. Still speaking to trade services, we put together lots of trade missions, getting people from the US to visit Nigeria and getting Nigerians to visit the US. Last year, we were at the Select USA Summit. That's the biggest and the largest investment event put together by the US government. And the state of Illinois in the US equally sends people to Nigeria to explore trade and business opportunities. The trade mission put together Now, the trade mission put together by the state of Illinois was put together by the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. They sent 9 to 10 businesses from the state of Illinois to Nigeria, and these were mostly minority businesses. The businesses were owned by women. Some of them were owned by majority African Americans, women, veterans, one disabled person, or a person with disability. So all of this cuts across minority businesses. So that's a typical example of how we interface between Nigeria and the US. Like I did say, to recap, the state of Illinois, the government of Illinois, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity put together a trade mission where they're sent in about 9 to 10 companies in the month of March to explore business opportunities in Nigeria. So these businesses that came from the state of Illinois cut across minority businesses that includes veteran businesses, female-owned businesses, and predominantly African-American businesses. So they were able to introduce their products, their services to the Nigerian audience. We were also able to buy a lot of products and services from them. They were also able to secure partnerships with their Nigerian counterparts and overall establish their businesses here in Nigeria. Now, the state of Delaware is very critical. I mean, I've read a lot about Delaware, your tax incentives, the business administration for minority businesses. How are we able to support you? Through the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce, we're more than happy to welcome businesses to work with us. Ayana is a very good friend of the chamber. We speak a lot on how we can foster a mutually collaborative opportunity for, small owned businesses. At the moment, we're not interested in majority businesses. We're not interested in large scale businesses. We're not interested in businesses of category A and B. We're looking at small scale businesses who are seeking to expand in whichever way possible, one way or the other. You're looking to expand virtually by introducing your business to the Nigerian audience, to the Nigerian population. We're more than happy to work with the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce to ensure that this is achievable. If you're equally looking to set up a business in Nigeria at some point in time, I know it sounds like an Herculean task. It seems like it's very difficult and it's cumbersome, but automatically it's not. I can tell you that we work very closely with a lot of businesses in the US, and will help them establish here in Nigeria. And the final thing I'd like to say with respect to minority businesses, how we have been able to support them in Nigeria. If you look through my presentation, it was mostly about pictures. We recently had an African food and products exhibition. So African food and products exhibition is a platform where we get female-owned businesses owned by retired Army officials. So in the US, you call them veterans, and people with disability. What we do is we showcase their products in different stalls, different exhibition booths. People come to buy from them. People get to collaborate with them. People get to request productions from them. And during the events that we had in Nigeria, that's the African Food and Products Exhibition, we were able to get some companies from the US who are also minority-driven businesses to secure partnerships with the Nigerian businesses to produce sachets, sachets, handbags, shoes made of African fabrics, to name a few. They'll be exporting all of these products to the US at a lesser price, but at a very good quality. So people in Nigeria as well are looking forward to the latest technology. They're looking forward to collaborating with American businesses, because like I did mention, America is a country that the world respects. America is a country that everybody wants to work with. Nigeria is not excluded. So we are looking forward to opportunities where we can also learn from small businesses in the US, work with small businesses in the US, partner with businesses like yours in businesses that are owned by people who are at this meeting right now, people who are members of the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce, who are looking for ways to intersect with you and introduce your products to our Nigerian audience. We're looking to get your products to our markets at very affordable rates. So all of this and more are some of the services that we provide and we offer to businesses across US and Nigeria. And we're more than happy to collaborate with the state of Delaware. We look forward to all of these partnerships. In conclusion, in summary, I would say that over the years, in the last 2 years that I've worked with the chamber as the acting DG, presiding over affairs, I've been able to establish a lot of relationships between the chamber here and organizations in the US. So speaking to the US Chamber of Commerce, speaking to DC Chamber of Commerce, there's an organization called the Center for International Private Enterprise. They are an affiliate of the US Chamber of Commerce. We've worked with them very closely, coming up with various dialogues and trainings. They are bringing in their own technology, their innovations and know-how, impacting in the lives and businesses of Nigerians. Nigerians are also seeking to employ their services, impacting in their own lives as Nigerian and African businesses. So I would say that we are more than willing, we're more than ready, we're happy to work with businesses here through the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce. And we look forward to the opportunity of fostering and strengthening the relationship that we already share. Thank you very much. I'm happy if anybody has any questions.
Thanks, Wofai. You crunched that in. First off, I'm Kim Rice. I'm the board chair for the Delaware Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm filling in for Ayana because she's away on training. Excellent. First time I got a chance to meet you, and I've been blown away. So I'll set it out to everyone else.
Thank you. Kim. It's great to finally meet you, Kim. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello,
Questions?
I'm Barbara, and I was just wondering, what was the U.S. summit that you were talking about? I missed it. One of the summits that you attended or were a part of?
That question is to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So last year I was in the US. I was in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia to participate in the Select USA Summit. So Select USA Summit is the US largest, most authentic, most authoritative event for investors from the globe. So Select USA welcomes investors from various countries across the world who are seeking to invest in America, who are seeking to get their return on investment upon investing in America. The US Secretary of State, His Excellency Secretary Anthony Blinken was there, and the summit had more than 15 governors in attendance. It was huge. We made a lot of contacts. It was predominantly dominated with African investors from across the shores and continent of Africa. Although people would tout, a lot of people would say, oh, when you talk about Africa, I mean, the US is by far richer than Africa. Yes, indeed. But you also need to understand that a lot of products that are manufactured in the US, sometimes to a reasonable extent, is manufactured in China at a lower figure, at a lower rate, and then sold into the US market. The current administration is trying as much as it can to curtail that. Now, the point I'm trying to establish here is, when you look at the populations of Africa, the things are changing, the dynamics are changing, the figures are changing. The political and economic class is getting richer. People are becoming more enlightened and exposed. There are more collaborations in the entertainment industry, in the tech industry between African, between African investors, the African market and the US market. So I give you a typical example. You look at some of the biggest tech companies in the US, the Microsofts, you're looking at the Googles, you're looking at the Metas, they're all setting up offices here in Africa. They all have offices. In fact, the office of Microsoft is just 5 minutes away from my office in Nigeria. So a lot of these companies are coming in here. The US Embassy in Nigeria is putting up the biggest and the largest embassy ever in the world. That's going to be the largest US embassy in the whole world. It's going to be put up here in Nigeria. Why are these people trooping into Africa? It's because they see that the dynamics are changing. So what's the word now? The mentality or the demystification that, oh, Africans don't necessarily have the money to invest. That's totally wrong. If we saw what happened in Select USA last year, a lot of the investments into the US were coming from some forward-thinking countries in Africa. So just like you have US ranking #1 on the ladder globally with respect to the army, the economy, in Africa, you also have countries that rank, top, like you have grown economies, you have growing economies, and then you have developing economies. You have economies that are developed, economies that are developing, and then you have underdeveloped economies. So when we're looking at investments from Africa, we're looking at people collaborating with the US. We're looking at countries that are developing, already developed, like Nigeria itself is a developing country. And like I did mention,